we have. I don't know if I can do that. I'm an actor.
Right.
And how many times in acting class, as a class, not in actually an event, but I'm really scared of my peers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to perform. We've just been given a script, and I'm conscious. I'm not even looking at the words or becoming the character on the page, or I'm worried about how I'm going to look in front of my friends. God, you can't. You're slightly dyslexic. I've got this thing going on. And you're not great at reading. You fucked up last week, and like, oh, come on, you've got to. And
right.
That person was really good. God, and they've just gone before you. Oh my goodness. What chance have you got? Have you been there? I think we've all.
Totally, yeah. I think we can all relate to that. I get it a lot in all areas. I get it. Used to get it in my corporate career so many times. I often refer to it as imposter syndrome. In coaching, they often call it to that. And, I know other coaches as well, when we speak, we talk about it. And even coaches have imposter syndrome. So coaches feel that they can't be the coaches that they are. Motivational speakers feel that they can't be on a given stage, let alone ordinary people who aren't coaches and who are just kind of living their life. All of us have that inner critic. That's the point here. And all of us go through a stage of that.
You end up searching for evidence to prove your inner critic correct. For instance,
unfortunately,
I remember at school at the sports day or that's PE, and you could be the last kid to be picked. How bad is that for your self-esteem?
Completely.
And guess what? You could go on in life thinking, I'm the last kid to get picked. And if you let that go on, you've got evidence. Yes, you are crap because you were the last kid. You were the fat, skinny kid. You were the whatever kid, stupid kid. You were the kid that nobody liked, and that you could take that on for the rest of your life. Well, one quick tip. I've got two tonight. Simple. Fake it till you make it, and you're not faking.
Nice.
People, you are being authentic. You're not being real. But as an actor,
so true.
Listen, let me just take a quick scenario. I went to a Christmas party on Saturday. It was actors, and because I'm talking about acting Christmas party, and I was actually scared.
Right.
Because I respect all these fellow, to me, like studs in the acting world who are my peers, and I want to come across as charming, elegant, sophisticated, someone with gravitas, like, all these different things all at once. And I wasn't relaxed. I'm like,
right. Didn't
really want to go, but I had to go.
No,
you've got to go and be seen. Yeah, and I had agents and casting directors there. A little kid, part of those negative inner critic self-talk scenarios in my life all started to come back. You're not good enough.
To come back.
Come on, Reid. What are you talking about? And I poker faced it so many times. I know but still, even though I've poker faced it and I've still been through very tough physical, emotional, mental tasks, I still felt
absolutely.
And what I did was go on. I went.
No, go ahead. What did you do?
Before I got there, I thought, right, you're nervous. I thought you can always have a drink, but the thing is with a drink, and it does make people more sociable. I wanted to be sharp because as much as a drink is good for nerves, that's courage, and that there is a time and a place for that. I needed to be witty, and that would dull my senses. So I knew I was going to have a drink, but I still needed to be sharp. So I went to the toilet. I come in, I said hello. I said, I just really need a wee. I went to the toilet and I sat down on the toilet, didn't go to the toilet, and just got my thoughts together. And I thought, right, Reid, I talked to myself. And it's the one thing that me and Prash teach in our retreats, more than anything. There's one thing you get from this. I was aware of my situation. So because I was aware, I had tools. Okay, Reid, you got a lot of tools. You teach this stuff. You live it. I became all these. I went into my special place in my mind, and I took on all these attributes, and I went out to Tony Robbins. He does Wonder Woman. He spins round like Wonder Woman, and he transforms. I actually say by the power of Grayskull, and it's cheesy.
Love that.
Learn a lot from kids. They play. And I came out and I'm like, all right, you can do this. You're He-Man. And I went out there and I had a great night, you know. And
I think this is the point that we got to recognize that our inner critic is going to be playing with us all the time, a lot of the time. And a lot of the time, that the strange thing is that inner critic is playing with our mind when we don't even realize it. And so part of the strategy that we want to share here is to become aware of the existence of our inner critic. That's an important strategy. One of the cornerstone approaches of coaching, and this is something not only myself as a transformational coach and speaker, but any coach anywhere in the world will encourage the student or the client to become more aware, whether it's in the area of diet, nutrition, fitness, weight loss, whatever it is. Awareness is the first key. So becoming aware of the existence of our inner critic is the first part. Now, inner critic is a part of us that exists within our mind. Now, our mind has our subconscious mind and our conscious mind. And the inner critic shuttles between the two. Voices rise up from the subconscious where they've been seated for years, where we've been told in the past, like a tape recorder, you're not good enough, you're rubbish, you can't do that, you'll never achieve that, you're weak. And those subconscious voices then rise up to our conscious mind. And of course, now they start to sabotage our progress, like you just described, when they kind of make us feel awkward in those situations, like you're at that party. They make us feel that we can't hang with this group of people here. I'm too small. Right, I can't be in this position. So awareness is a key strategy. Absolutely. Yeah. So a key is learning to become aware that our inner critic exists.
And that's the thing. How do we become aware? This is the thing. How do we listen to that voice and realize, hold on a minute, that I don't want to, I'm going to turn the other voice on. The nice
Absolutely.
voice. How do you do that?
So part of becoming aware is recognizing when that feeling shows up. Usually when that voice comes, there is a feeling associated with it. Sometimes there's a physical emotion associated with it as well. And this is a great clue. The body gives us clues. We just need to tune into those a little bit. So a good way to become aware of it when you're self-managing, which is one of the goals of emotional intelligence, it is to become self-regulated, to emotionally self-manage. One of the clues that we get is look for our body. Look for if we're feeling a little tense. Look for if our posture is changing. Look for an elevation in heart rate. Look for heavy breathing. Start to understand what physical and emotional symptoms are showing up when that inner critic is talking. So then when you're in a situation where you start to feel those physical or emotional symptoms, you know that your inner critic is right there.
And
you know what I mean?
When you have techniques, it's the best thing in the world because, oh, hang on a minute, I'm feeling like this. Do you know what? I know how to deal with that. I've got this technique here. And it's so wonderful, free.
It's completely refreshing. Yeah.
I've really noticed this in my recent life. I've started to become, meditation is one of the best tools to becoming aware because you start to quieten everything.
You start to quieten everything. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You become aware of everything, what's going on in your guts, in your heart. Oh, I'm a bit tight here. I'm feeling a bit of indigestion.
Exactly.
I've become so aware, it now, rather than listening to my mind, which is saying to me, I want to go and eat some bad food, my body is talking to my mind saying, hold on a minute, you know that bad food, you might have a minute of gratification from the sugar endorphins, but it's going to make you feel nasty on the inside.
Yeah.
Same thing with a drug addiction. I like having a beer once in a while. That's alcohol's one of the biggest drugs going. I don't like to drink too much because it's nice to feel a little bit inebriated, a little bit relaxed. But I now realize that the indigestion I get, that's a big communication. That's awareness. My body's saying, we don't really like this beer. Guess what? You don't want to drink as much beer.
You don't want to drink as much beer. So your body is giving you triggers, body gives you feedback. And again, that's the same thing with any situation. The art here is we got to learn when to listen to our body or our mind's feedback and heed it versus ignore it. And usually when our inner critic is playing its voice, and when our inner critic is talking to us, usually it's trying to get us to heed the inner critic rather than ignore the inner critic. And what we have to learn to do is find ways to ignore that inner critic. And as I say, in addition to what you've just already shared, Alex, awareness is a key trigger. Start to become connected with what's showing up in our body and our emotions. So as we start to do that, we can start to tune into the inner critic. Now, once you've tuned into the inner critic, and once you recognize, oh yeah, there's that voice again. Oh yeah, okay, I get it. Now you need to start talking, and you need to change the language. Rather than saying, I can't do it, you need to recognize that it's your inner critic that's telling you. So it's called disassociation. You're disassociating yourself and recognizing that you and your inner critic are not the same entity. You are you, you're the spirit, you're the owner of this body-mind system. Your inner critic is simply a voice that's playing around in your head. So the second step is to recognize that you and your inner critic are not the same thing, and call your inner critic out. When you say, oh yeah, there he goes again.
Really good question. Someone asked me about PTSD earlier on. Someone lives a traumatic experience and they keep reliving it. They're not in the now. Is it about living in the now? Because when you keep living, and then when you realize that, okay, that happened then, I'm okay now. Me reliving this experience is causing me pain. Once you understand that, but how do you stop yourself from reliving the traumatic experience? It's again about being self-aware. But
I think it is very much about that.
How would you explain that? As a question that people who suffer from PTSD have asked me.
When we're dealing with traumatic experiences and we're talking about PTSD, we're stepping into the territory of impressions, vasanas, old patterns that have become embedded. So the trauma results in feelings that are then converted to memories or impressions that become lodged within the subconscious. They also become lodged within the body. So the body-brain system traps that, which is why obviously a lot of physical ailments arise through PTSD as well as the emotional side. And so our inner critic plays up when our PTSD is being triggered by an event, right? Unfortunately, for those who've experienced PTSD will know this, you could just be sitting there and something somewhere on TV or something that somebody says, that's it triggers, and your PTSD just kicks in. It's not even situational. It's driven by a little trigger, the seemingly smallest trigger. But Alex, I would say, and I would say the same thing applies here. It's becoming aware that it's rising. And then secondly, learning to distinguish ourselves from that the PTSD is a condition. We are not that condition. The condition is acting upon us, but we are not that condition. The moment we recognize that, we're able to start to buy out of the pain that condition is trying to enforce upon us.
I've got a great method here which I use, and I'm really thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
PTSD, traumatic experiences, they cause literally, although they're in the mind, they become physical. They manifest physically. They raise our heartbeat, our blood pressure. They basically kill us quicker. They can cause so many diseases. Guess what? It's a condition.
It's a condition.
Well, we have a spirit, we have a mind. Why don't we create a different condition? Why don't we use the imagination that kids have? When Eric eats a banana, he becomes Banana Man. I got by the power of Grayskull. I talked about this just yesterday. The ninja, before they went on missions, they had the kuchikuri. They would meditate and have
certain hand gestures that they anchors
to give them courage, power. What did I do just the other day? I went and did the By the Power of Grayskull. Anthony Robbins does Wonder Woman. Some people have George St. Pierre, very amazing UFC legend.
Yeah.
Get this. He did something that was a bit weird. Before a fight, he'd always tweak his nipples. That was his power motion. That was his, it might seem silly, that was him becoming the person. And it was so ingrained. He'd done so much empowerment into eliciting an emotion. guess what? The negative emotions of a bit of, oh God, that guy over there is a bit scary. I'm about to fight. And no, you haven't got time for that because you are He-Man and you're going to go and save the day. And you've fought this fight a billion times in your mind. This is what I'm going to teach on our retreat on the 27th to the 29th of March at Carbon Health Retreats. I'm going to talk about alter egos, the inner critic, me and the wonderful Prash. Any questions, young man, guys?
No questions so far. I think people will be chewing on what we've been discussing and hopefully starting to recognize where the inner critic is showing up, because the purpose of these lives, the purpose of these conversations are to help people to start to awaken to what's going on underneath the surface. Far too many of us are living in autopilot. Far too many of us are living in reaction mode. By having these discussions, by attending retreats like the ones we run, like the one in March, we are able to put a spanner in the works of the automatic mind. We're able to disrupt that automatic pattern that keeps us in the same groove, like a record. For those of you who are old enough to remember records, we're stuck in grooves. Unfortunately, and I'm going to get philosophical for a minute, it is urban spirituality.
We like
after all.
philosophy.
Unfortunately, many of us don't even feel that there is anything wrong. There's the trick. We don't even recognize that there's stuff that isn't right in our life because we're so used to masking it with stuff to give us temporary shots of happiness that we're forgetting that actually there's something wrong underneath the surface. Hell, people have gone years in their life without recognizing this. Marriages have been disrupted. Lives have been tarnished. Careers have been destroyed. So much harm has happened because people have lived there years and years without recognizing that there's actually something underlying that's not right. And invariably, that's where the inner critic is lying. Powerful, right?
I had a side end. That's extremely powerful. And I just want to give a little warning here, folks. It's not a nasty warning. The warning is when you become aware, it's not always comfortable. When Neo took the pill, oh my God, this is what's going on. And
hell yeah.
But ultimately, your life will become better. You'll start really living, really loving. God, that's a bit hippie.
Love it.
When you become so aware of what's really going on, and as me and Prash have said many times, some of this stuff might be going over your head. Don't worry. A bit like the media has subliminal messages. There's things that we're going to be talking about that you might not comprehend, but you will eventually. And it's long story short, it's not always comfortable, guys, but it's going to make you live longer and live happier.
So true.
And not just your physical body, your mind, but your spirit. And I imagine
truer words have not been spoken, my friend.
Most people who are watching this, I'm taking it as much as gravity exists. People who are watching this are going to be understanding that we have a spirit and a soul. Otherwise, why are you going to come on a mind, spirit, and body retreat? Ultimately, you might be a bit unsure, but the fact that you're unsure, that's great. Questions. Let's ask questions. What's it all about? I'm still asking questions.
So
I was bullied at 5 years old. I was asking these questions, and I'm still asking them. I have some
so true.
But this is the place to come and ask the questions with people who have asked those questions many, many times, and we're still learning, and it's great. We've got techniques, we've got activities, and we're going to have some fun.
We're absolutely going to have some fun along the way, for sure. And just for those of you who are not aware that we have this going on, let's just share that very briefly.
27th
to
the
29th.
29th of March in Harlow, Essex. It's at Carbon Health Retreats. Me and Prash are running Urban Spirituality.
The Detox and Transformation Wellness Weekend Experience. Friday evening till Sunday evening in a beautiful, well-appointed, 5-star luxury, beautiful house or a mansion, a mini mansion.
There's going to be yoga, martial arts, conscious breathing, conscious walking, conscious meditation. All designed, every lesson we do, lots of talks on paradigm shifts in your mind builds upon the next one. They're all joined to give you an experience to waken up your mind to other things that are going on and give you a shift so you can.
It is powerful. Yeah, it's a shift, and that's what we want. And that's the whole purpose of doing this. Alex, you're so right when you say this. You want to be, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be, have some trepidation. Most of the people who come on these retreats haven't been on retreats. They've never been on such a thing.
Yeah.
This is not a yoga retreat. This is not a religious retreat. This is not some hardcore fitness retreat. This is a special tailored blend that Alex and I have put together specifically for the purpose of helping people who are just people like you and I in different walks of life to try to start to make the shifts that lead to the breakthroughs, that lead to the transformations in each of our lives, in our career, in our jobs, in our homes, and in our hearts, ultimately.
With lots of
I'm emotional.
Yeah, me too.
I'm feeling emotional here.
That was wonderful. Me too. You know, I was so happy. There was one gentleman who came last time, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How much he shifted, and what I found amazing was, we just talked about this earlier on today. Sometimes you go on. I know you have. I've been on lots of empowerment retreats and seminars, and like some are great, some are like yeah, and often or not, I'm like, you can feel pumped for a few weeks. Sometimes you might feel pumped for an hour. Sometimes you might go, not sure about that. But
right.
That's all. I'm blowing my own smoke here, my own trumpet. There was a gentleman. He's still pumped, and it was such a transformation. And he's happy. It's really weird. He didn't feel. I'm not going to say who it was because it's confidentiality, but he didn't feel loved. And he felt like no one loved it. And now I'm
one weekend. It was one weekend, and what a transformation.
Well, me and Prash lived this stuff, and so it's quite.
What about the young lady who joined us out in Hungary, who felt that she wasn't good enough for that career jump that she wanted to make because she was getting kind of almost bullied and shot down, assassinated at work, and her self-esteem was being hit. What a transformation! What a transformation! She's now a manager. She's taken over the whole department. And she's still got the friends of the people who were on our retreat. And
guys, I still have my doubts. I still have moments of.
We're all works in progress, baby.
I have to coach myself. I'm like, hold on, how can you teach us stuff and like feeling like a loser? I don't feel like a loser, but there are moments. We all have a sad.
We have,
and that's being real. And that's
completely
understanding, like
completely.
It's not. It ain't all. I love to. I haven't quoted him for a while. It ain't all sunshines and rainbows. Nothing hit you as hard as life, but it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. So if you know what you want, go get it.
Yo, Adrian. All right, Alex. I think we're at time, folks. So, Alex, if you're okay with it, I'd like to leave everybody with a small, short poem, a motivational piece.
We love a bit of poetry.
I have been intuited with a dear friend of mine who has beautifully put some words in which I've worked with, and I'd like to share that with all of you as a parting gift and some inspiration to leave you with as you think about joining us on our retreat, and you just think about how to start to hear that inner critic by feeling those emotions and feeling the effect on your body, so you can start to recognize that inner critic. And as you recognize the inner critic, recognize that you are not the same as the inner critic. Start to disassociate yourself and recognize, oh yeah, there's my inner critic going off again. Once you start to do that, that is the trigger to start to break its hold upon us. And it's a lifelong thing. Alex, you hit it on the head. It's a lifelong effort. So on that note, Alex, without further ado, I would like to leave you all with this. We'll leave you the link for the retreat in this live. Alex, hopefully one of us will drop it in here. It's actually in the description, so all the details are right here in the link. Get in touch with us to find out more, and we'll speak to you and see if we're a good fit to welcome you on the program.
Let's hear that poem, sir.
Happiness is not a permanent state. Wholeness is. Don't confuse the two and learn to know the difference. Know that you will always be enough. And if anyone makes you feel otherwise, then learn to walk away, as they are not ready to meet you where you are. Don't be afraid to challenge things, to remain curious and never stop asking questions, Alex. Always continue to learn from the young and the old and everyone in between. Remember, Socrates once famously said, every person I meet is my superior because they know something that I don't. Show kindness and compassion, even more so to the ones who hurt you. Learn to forgive, not for them, but for you. Yes, there will be failure. Your trust will be broken, and there will be days where you doubt yourself. But when you do, just remember how remarkable you are, and that you are on this earth for a greater purpose. So acquire your treasures in life. Go grab those things that you want, but never forget the real treasures you already have, your family or your friends or your faith.
Yes.
You have been created ultimately for a purpose and to live and love at full capacity. So make the little moments matter and give as much as you receive. Amen.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Aho. That was wonderful.
Take a breath, folks. Thank you, Alex, once again.
Thank you, Prash. That was lovely. You raised the bar. You've pulled that on me. It's the Alex and Prash show, Monday night show. I'm going to have to raise the bar next Monday. I'm going to have to outdo you with a lovely poem myself. But
of course, Alex. We are here to share.
It's not, but it's nice to have a little bit of friendly banter, and that was very lovely. That was very lovely. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Touche, young guys and girls. See you next week.
Peace out, everyone. Be strong, be well. God bless.